Hello folks, this is False Prelate from PoE Bad Builds. Today I'm going to showcase my Spectral Shield Throw Gladiator. This build is basically based off of getting fairly high bleed damage and making use of the Gladiator passive that allows you to explode full packs by dealing 10% of their health as damage to surrounding targets. So let's take a look at some of the gear options and talk about like how functional the character is. So first things first, this character is really good at clearing maps, and just like obviously clearing packs is great, but boss killing is not so great. I think right now bleed is just not really in a good enough state for single target. So I think the path of building DPS is probably somewhere around 300,000 if you add up all sources on single target, so it's not really that high. Uh, the way that this build does damage is it scales physical and bleed by using Scourge and a couple of items with minion damage on it. You want to get a shield that has a high enough armor that you can deal reasonable damage. So the Spectral Shield Throw skill itself, it does base damage based off of the amount of armor or evasion that you have. So I crafted this shield myself using dense fossils, which basically take away the life but give you more armor mods. So this shield here has 2600 armor, and I actually have the Fire and Chaos Res mod on it, but I could switch that up for quality and get a little bit more. Honestly, you just need to like flesh out your resists a little bit. So let's look at some gearing choices here. In our first slot, we have our Terror Claw, and this basically just allows us to have increases in reductions to minion damage applied to you. In our top slot here, we have a Bone Helmet with percent life, and maximum life, and that just helps us get our life totals up a little bit. It's because we have so much mitigation from block and dodge in this character, we just want to really focus on getting as much life as possible. In our chest piece, we're using the Perfect Form because this gives us phase acrobatics without having to take the node that reduces your block chance, which would kind of screw us over as Gladiator. In my gauntlet here, I have a chance to bleed pair of gloves. So there's 28% damage there, and then 19 from the minion damage, and then flat fizz. So this actually gives us quite a bit of damage on the bleeds. This is absolutely mandatory. We need Pierce on the secondary projectiles of the shield to be able to have the bleeds reach further inside of the pack, because you can't get extra projectiles on your shield from GMP. You just throw the one shield and it explodes into a bunch of little tiny shards. So it's actually really difficult to get the AoE spreading out really effectively if you don't have either Pierce or Chain. Since we're not taking any Chain, we're going to go with Pierce. So we'll take this. This has fizz damage on it, life, and some resists. Using Comb's Roots to get the stun avoidance. Then basically just the rest of your gear is just to balance mana costs, life, and resistances. Our skill tree, we choose the Gladiator Ascendancy, and we get Blood in the Eyes and Gratuitous Violence. Blood in the Eyes for the bleed chance and blind chance and maim, and Gratuitous Violence so that we can get the explosions. Here we take Painforge for the block chance and Versatile Combatant so that we get our block as spell block as well. My skill tree takes Resolute Technique, so we're going kind of up this side here. And the difficult thing about scaling the damage of Spectral Shield Throw is that there's no real good shield nodes. So we'll have one here, a couple here, and one here, and that is it. And so basically the way that we're going to scale the damage is through bleed. So we pick up all of our bleed nodes, and then these are kind of semi-inefficient because we can't get the actual physical damage from this because it's fizz with melee, but the increased damage with elements still works for the bleed. So we pick these up to get down here to our life and our life regen. I'm picking up some of the elemental resist nodes because our Perfect Form actually gives us the ability to turn our uncapped cold res into evasion rating, and because we take Iron Reflexes, that converts it into armor. So sitting in base with no buffs up, I have 18,000 armor. So that's quite a bit of armor. Definitely dealing with little physical hits is not going to be too much of a problem. Other than that, the other keystones we're looking for is Crimson Dance, so we can get the extra bleed stacks, Iron Grip, just so that we can scale the projectile damage a little bit, and that's pretty much it. So if, oh, and actually no, one more thing that's really important is getting a little bit of projectile speed. If I throw my shield at the wall, you can see it explodes here into small little shards, and those shards, they scale really well off projectile speed, and they don't actually go that far, and you absolutely need the projectile speed to get those hitting further and deeper into the packs. One thing about Spectral Shield throw that's kind of really bad, I think, is the aiming. So I'll show you what I mean. If I aim south, then it throws perfectly south, but if I aim up here, it throws perfectly that way. But if I aim to the sides, for whatever reason, it throws about an inch above wherever you're aiming. So aiming feels really awkward with this skill. I don't know if this is a bug or if this is intended, but I think they really need to fix this, because there's definitely times where I'll be aiming at packs and I'll miss my shield completely. And of course, because there's only the one projectile, it's imperative that you do hit that target. Alright, so that's enough about what the build is. Now I'll show you a couple videos of me running some different maps so you can see how it works in practice.